I think testing for ADHD is a really, really interesting conversation because the diagnosis conversation is fascinating around ADHD, right? Obviously, there isn't a clear biomarker for ADHD.
Mhm.
Should I say yet? Or is there, because I've heard about things like NCII and HRV, so like heart rate variability. Do any of these to you seem like a potential for diagnosis as well? Or,
So there's always, I mean, I never say no to potential, right? I've learned from science. Science can take us places that we never expect to be. So in the future, I would I would expect that eventually we will discover some useful. It probably will be a set of biomarkers rather than one, but we will find some biomarker for ADHD. We currently don't have any.
So people have ADD aren't dumb, crazy, or stupid. Some of them are the brightest people I know, but their frontal lobes deactivate.
What we have are there are lots of biological features that are, let's say, more that you can measure that are different in people with ADHD as a group from people without ADHD. But when you try to use that for classification, it falls apart. They're just
right,
not good at all
right.
for that purpose.
Where does it come from, ADHD or ADD?
Well, it's genetic.
Okay.
It's clearly genetic. I mean, if I don't see it in someone's family, I think head trauma. And with you, I think that's possible because of soccer, except you see it in your family.
Do we know what causes ADHD?
It's genetic. People are not producing enough dopamine.
Huh, maybe I'm not articulating Andrew
I think
Huberman's
you
point.
are.
Am I?
If you talk about a dopamine depletion, that's kind of simple. There is no reason to be talking about dopamine and ADHD.
Another interesting thing about the ADHD brain is low dopamine can make it hard to be patient, and the norepinephrine tends to swing between too much and too little, which contributes to that feeling of tired and wired, that emotional volatility that comes with ADHD.
In general, with psychiatry anyway, we've been moving in the direction of the disorders being not a chemical imbalance. I know that's been a lot of talk lately. That's actually not a new concept, that it's not a chemical imbalance.
People like us who have ADHD, well, we actually don't have as much dopamine in our brains than the average person. Which is why lots of the ADHD medication out there works by increasing our dopamine levels, which helps to increase our focus. Makes sense, right? So, to summarize, dopamine can affect pretty much all of the aspects of your ADHD life that you are most likely struggling with.
I'm gonna have to science the shit out of this.
Now, because of this natural deficiency, guys, almost all of us will want to naturally seek out to try and get that missing dopamine as fast as possible.
Yo, did you measure dopamine in these kids? And then so you consistently see this depleted level. If people have a dopamine depletion, they won't be able to move. They would have Parkinson's disease. That's what Parkinson's disease is really about.
How do you know if you have ADHD? Okay, so with most mental illness or most neurodevelopmental things,
there's no mental illness.
ADHD is a mental illness. It is a disorder. What are we saying mental illness is?
You could ask people to define mental illness, and no one could. One can only give examples of it, like homosexuality, on which the American Psychiatric Association voted. As you know, that it's no longer a disease. It's only a disease if you don't like it.
Everybody has some degree of everything.
So we know that it runs in families, which means there's a genetic component, but we haven't yet identified the various genes that actually cause ADHD. We know that ADHD has to do something with the change in the chemicals in the brain, so we know there's a biological component to ADHD.
Nobody has yet measured, demonstrated, or created a test to show that somebody has a chemical imbalance in their brain. Period.
And it seems to be some sort of neurologic problem that seems to be more apparent when someone is either bored or doing things that cause a lot of stress. Often when people are doing things, when kids are doing things they really enjoy, like playing video games, which change every few seconds, they can do that for hours. And that's confusing to parents because they say, look, how can he have ADHD when he can watch things on TV or he can play video games for hours? It's when kids are doing things that are not challenging, that are too challenging, or things that cause boredom.
If we look at the latest, I would say the latest genetic data, even the clinical data on ADHD, that there's no break point between people with ADHD and people without ADHD when you look at their genes, when you look at their brains, when you look at their neuropsychology, fill in the blank. So yes, the ADHD brain is delayed in development, and it used to be thought that everybody would catch up eventually and ADHD would disappear in adulthood. We now know that's not true, that those delays don't always catch up.
The major theory with ADHD is that somehow these kids have a dysregulation of their monoamine transporter in the prefrontal cortex. Now, dopamine is a monoamine neurotransmitter. So too is norepinephrine, so too is serotonin. And so the theory is not specific to any of those transmitters. It's just that the monoamine transmitter. So it could be all of them or any of them. And that's a theory. No evidence to support that theory. Just the theory. And now you're like taking that theory even further and saying dopamine depletion. It just blows my mind. It's like, first of all, there is no evidence in the brains of people with ADHD that there is dysregulation dysfunction. But the major theory is this deficit in functioning of the monoamine transporter. But it's only a theory. And so you give medications, say like these medications target the transporter. And so therefore they get better, therefore it works. That's not evidence of it that it works.
So if I can attempt to translate this, you're basically saying that with an ADHD diagnosis, which means that there are parts of my brain, or perhaps your brain as you're listening, that are, quote, under functioning. I've heard it described as like the conductor in your brain that directs your focus and quiets other inputs so that you can pay attention. If my conductor with an ADHD brain is under functioning, to put it in your language, the metabolism in my brain is not getting the energy that is required to that part of my brain for the conductor to work. Is that what you're basically saying?
That is correct.